So we finally got the announcement of the RTX 50 series, and there were 4 GPUs announced. Well, technically 3, but the one is a TI of the 5070. So today we're going to be covering everything you should know about the specs and basically why we recommend, and also some of the prices and just some of the shocking things. And as the title says, the good and the bad of this new 50 series. So without further ado, let's get straight to the video. Now starting first, we obviously have the 5070 and the 5070 Ti. Now I do have the specs on my iPad, so let me quickly read it out to you, and it's actually got some decent specs. So looking at the Ti first, it does include 16GB of GDDR7 memory, which is actually pretty good. And we'll also have a memory bandwidth of 896 gigabits per second, which is honestly a decent GPU to go for. And will also include 8,960 CUDA cores, which is more than enough for most of your tasks out there, especially when it comes to basically doing development or even just having a good experience when it comes to gaming. But now going to, of course, the cheaper option, which is obviously the standard RTX 5070, and that will include 12 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory, a memory bandwidth of 672 gigabits per second, and will also only include 6,144 CUDA cores. Now, I'll definitely say the 5070 and the 5070 Ti might be a good option to go for, because Nvidia still claimed that the 5070 has the same performance as the RTX 4090. So it could be a good option to go for, especially if you haven't upgraded to a new GPU for a long time and you want to have a decent spec GPU and you don't want to break the bank. This could be a good option to go for. Now, Nvidia does say the RTX 5070 and 5070 Ti will only require up to 250 to 300 watts depending on which one you go for. So it should be good if you already have a 650 watt power supply, because they do say that it's going to be the best option to go for. And I think it's nice to have a GPU that's catered to the more budget friendly gamers that don't have a high spec PC. Now the 5070 will be starting at a price of $549, which is not too bad, but we'll also have to see some benchmarks for what this GPU can actually do. But now going to the RTX 5080. Now this is an interesting GPU. So this will of course include 16 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory with a memory bandwidth of 960 gigabits per second. It will also include 10,752 CUDA cores. Now Nvidia does recommend if you do have an 850 watt power supply already, you should be good with that type of supply. So if you are someone that already has a mid-range PC build, you should be fine with the GPU. Now luckily we did get some of the benchmarks for this, and it does look like it does have up to 40% more performance compared to the 4080, which honestly is a big jump. Now the pricing for the RTX 5080 is going to be at $999, so yes, this is going to be more on the expensive side. And now finally we on the RTX 5090, and this GPU is honestly overkill. So of course the RTX 5090 will include 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory with a memory bandwidth of 1,792 gigabits per second, and will also include a massive 21,760 CUDA cores, which that is insane. Honestly, they killed it with that whole type of spec. They went for overkill, and it's actually very insane spec. Now, of course, as we covered yesterday with some of the shorts, the RTX 5090 will require up to 600 watts for itself. So I'll definitely best recommend to go for a 1000 watt power supply if you are going to go for the RTX 5090. Now, of course, going to some of the benchmarks that we do have so far, they do claim that it does basically up to 50% more performance compared to the last generation. But obviously some titles still don't really run at the best, because most of the titles are mostly based on CPU performance. Now, of course, the most shocking news is how much this GPU is going to cost, and it's basically $400 more than the 4090, and yes, that means it's going to be priced at $1,999, which is expensive. For the same price of this GPU, you can basically go for a nice mid-range PC and still have enough bucks left over for a nice monitor setup, or even just going for nice peripherals. Now, looking at what most of the benchmarks we are seeing from Nvidia is that they are currently using the DLSS 4, which is making me wonder, are these new GPUs more reliant on their upscaling software? Because majority of the tests and performances they've been giving us are basically including the DLSS 4. Otherwise, let me know in the comments below, which GPU would you go for your end setup? Which one do you recommend to go for? And which one do you think might be the best option to go for, especially if someone is wanting to upgrade? But I hope you guys enjoyed. So guys, thanks for your be safe as always, and have a great day.